Alrighty, great, Pete. Let's go ahead and go over your test review. Just a reminder that you can find this video and extra quizzes, practice activities in the Schoology third 9 weeks folder, and it's the folder that says test reviews, keys, video reviews, things like that. Alright, so 1 through 3 is combining like terms, but before I combine like terms, some of these I need to distribute property. I do 1/4 of each of these items, so if you forgot how to multiply, by a fraction, 1/4 of 16, 1/4 of 4, 1/4 of 12, which is 3x. Bring out the subtraction symbol. 4 and -3 can be combined because they both have x as one of their terms. 4 plus -3 gives me just x. I can't combine 1 with anything else, so that just becomes x plus 1. Number 2, remember we can look at it as, using our colors. 5y can be combined with that -y. And along with that, I can combine my -8x with positive 12x. So using colors, I can kind of decide what I should combine and just add up the coefficients. 5 plus a -1 gets me 4y. -8 plus positive 12 would get me -4y. Oops, sorry. This one should be not y, x. So 4y minus 4x. Over here, I gotta do distributive property before I start combining like terms. So 3 times 2x is 6x, 3 times 1 is 3, and keep the subtraction symbol. Now you could also use shapes to combine your like terms. 4 plus 6 gets me 10, minus 4 gets me 10. 10 minus 4 would get me 6x minus 3, because I can't combine that with anything else. So 6x minus 3 would be the final answer. Over here, what property justifies this fact? Remember, a number right next to the parentheses means I'm multiplying. I can use my distributive property. 5 times x, 5 times 2, 5x minus 10, same thing. Use a property to write an expression that's equivalent to this. Now remember, associative property, it means I'm multiplying all the way through. All I'm moving is my grouping symbols. Distributive property, notice I have multiplying and subtraction. So I can't use distributive property for this one. Only associative property would work because I have a grouping symbol and I'm trying to find an equivalent expression. Number 6, circle algebraic expressions that are equivalent to 4n minus 8, again combining like terms. Over here we have our like terms. We get 4n minus 8 after combining. That's equivalent. Over here I could rewrite 4n or -8 plus 4, and I can rewrite it by using commutative property and changing the order. That's the same thing as 4n minus 8, right? Because if I add a negative, it's like subtraction. Distributive property, 2 times 2 is 4n, 2 times 4 is 8, so 4n minus 8. Over here, I multiplied 2 times 2n gives me 4n. Here, -4 times -2 gives me a positive 8, which is not the same. So this expression is the only one that is not the same. Bottom, 4 less than a number equals -18. Less than is a turnaround word. Think about it, for example, if Mr. Daniel has $10, Mrs. Bennett has $5 less than Mr. Daniel. So I'm not going to do 5 minus 10, I'm going to do 10 minus 5, right? Because it's $5 less than Mr. Daniel's amount. So this is 4 less than a number. I don't know what number, but it's 4 less than that. Equals -18. So I solve it and get -14. Subtract 4 on both sides. Number 8, 9 times the number of flowers is 135. I don't know how many flowers, that's what's missing. So 9 times that number is 135. I can divide both sides by 9, and I get 15. Again, if you check your work, you're more than likely to get it correct. Find any mistakes, doing what you need to. All right. Bottom part. Now, number 9, it's a division problem. Number 9, we see that we're doing c divided by 2.5 equals 8. I multiply both sides by 2.5. We get 20. Right? We count how many spaces, move the decimal over that many. -64 is equal to -16m. Divide both sides by -16. We get 4m. Right? 16 times 4 gets me to 64. Same sign, excuse me, same sign, answer is positive. Number 11, 1/5 n is equal to 10 and 2/10. I divide both sides by 1/5. You could work this out with a fraction, you get the same answer. I know 1/5 is 0.2. Excuse me, sorry about this, guys. 10.2 divided by 0.2, the second number must be a whole number. 102 divided by 2. So we divide it by 2 and we get 51. Two-step equation, negative 6t minus 8 equals 846. Remember to add or subtract first, then multiply or divide. So I add 8 to both sides, I get 54. Then negative 6t equals this, so I divide both sides by negative 6 and get a negative 9. Negative 9 is equal to t. Number 13, 9 plus w equals negative 27.5. Subtract 9 from both sides. Negative 27.5 minus 9 is just like adding the opposite. So we add the opposite, add like normal, we get 36.5. They're both negative, answer is negative. Number 14, negative m over 5 plus 3 equals negative 35. So first thing I need to move is the subtract 3. So I subtract 3 and we add the opposite because of subtraction, we get negative 38. Now here's the thing, negative n over 5. If I go ahead and multiply both sides by 5, like if I were to go ahead and multiply, because I had people tell me, oh Mr. Daniel, I want to just multiply by 5. Okay, let's go with your flow. Times 5. Then this negative symbol will go with n. Negative n is equal to negative 190. What was equal to negative 190? Well, I got a negative n. I have to divide by negative 1 and find out that n is equal to 190. So you add an extra step to it. Now here you could just multiply by negative 5 on both sides, and that way you get a positive n at the end. This negative symbol right here, all it means is that you can either put the negative symbol with the variable or the number. Almost every single time you're going to see me put it with the number. So I went ahead and did it that way. So I get positive 190. Over here, y divided by 3 minus 9 equals 12. I add 9 to both sides. Then I multiply both sides by 3. So when I multiply both sides by, I add 9 to each side. Then I got to multiply each side by 3. So then I get y is equal to 63. Again, you can plug it back in, see if it works. That's the best way to double check your work and make sure you're doing what you need to. Number 16, negative 3k. Negative 3k plus 15 equals negative 66. Subtract 15 from both sides. I get negative 3k is equal to negative 81. Divide by negative 3. And I get my answer after doing the division, if you can see right here. Dividing by negative 3, I get that k is equal to 27. Again, plug it in, see if it works. Should be. Now remember, when I subtract 15, negative 66 minus 15, that's like adding the opposite. Alright, number 17, they didn't really ask you to solve it using a model, so I just solved it just by subtracting 2 on both sides and getting x is equal to 4. If you want me to explain the model, I'll do it on the other side too, but remember, I want to get x by itself, so to get rid of my 2 positives, I put 2 negatives on each side. I'm left over with 4. X is equal to 4. Number 18. Now, after reading this problem, I know that the total number of hours that Tiffany practices is 7. And I also know that Tiffany did 2 more hours than she did last week. But the missing item is that how many hours did she work last week? So this is your thought process right here, guys. I have to do x with something and 7 to get to 2, or x with something and 2 to get to 7. So we think about what makes most sense. Well, if I'm taking the hours last week, it's 2 more than that amount. So I'm going to take x and do 2 more than last week to get 7. When I solve it, inverse operation, we get 5. Back side. Number 19, another word problem. I know that Ohio had 20 electoral votes. Texas had 14, or this amount is 14 less than Texas. The number of votes that Texas has is missing. But I know Ohio's total, and I know to get Ohio's total, I had to take Texas and subtract 14. So notice how that helps you out again. If you did that process, X something with 14 to get to 20, or X something with 20 to get to 14. When I solve it, I get that X equals 34 votes. Make sure you label it, especially if it's a word problem. Number 20, the model represents the equation X minus 8 equals 2. When I solve it, I get X is equal to 10. If we want to model it, we're going to model on the bottom. You'll see another example there. Number 21, Gina sold 126 boxes of cookies. This amount that Gina sold is twice as many as her sister. How many boxes did she sell? Again, the amount that the sister sold is missing. But I know that she sold a total of 126. And that 126 is twice as much as her sister. So if I double the sister's amount, I'll get 126. I solve it using inverse operation, divide both sides by 2, we get 63. Alrighty, modeling. Okay, I'm going to explain it step by step, so if you want to make sure you're listening, make sure you're listening. Okay? Now, with your equations, 5 plus n equals 9. Remember, the x bar represents the variable, and I have 5 counters. Then I have 9 individual counters. 5n plus 9 equals 5 plus n equals 9. So I want to get x by itself, or whatever variable n. So I want to get rid of these 5. So to get rid of those 5, I put 5 negatives. Over here, I put 5 negatives. So after these cancel out and these cancel out, I end up with just n equaling 4. Your steps is just pretty much you solving it without a model. If I plug back in 5 plus 4, I know 5 plus 4 is 9. It works out. I just want you to check, plug it back in and see if it works. Alright, 22. Negative 3x is equal to negative 9. So I'm shading in the x bar. Right, 3 negatives is equal, and I'm sorry that the symbol's there. Right, for each of these, it should be equal to negative 9. Now I want to find out what one of these are worth. So I group them and find out that each one would have negative 3. So negative 3x is equal to negative 9, split into 3 groups. Then after that, I know negative x is equal to negative 3. However, I want to find out what a positive x is worth. So I do the opposite. So over here, I do the opposite. That's how I get to x is equal to 3. So if I plug that back in, negative 3 times positive 3, it gets me a negative 9. If you did it where your answer is negative 3 and you plug that back in, you'll see right away, nope, that doesn't work. Alright, so always check when you can, making sure you're doing what you need to be successful. Alrighty, let's look at 23. Now you might have to go back and look at your blue foldable about constant of proportionality, but also the blue foldable about y equals mx plus b. Remember, when we want to take a table and figure out which equation it goes with, I need to find my change in x, change in y. Those are the two main things we're looking for. Change in x, change in y. So to go from 0 to 1 is 1. And I hope almost everyone's paper should have this change to 3. To go from 3 to 5 is 2. So the change in x is 1, change in y is 2. So in my equation y equals mx plus b, change in y over change in x, that's 2 over 1. 2 divided by 1 gets me 2. So this is what m is worth. So notice 2 ends up over here. So now I know I need to do 2 times whatever x is. So if I do 2 times 1, I get 2. 2 times 0, I get 0. But then now I got to figure out, how am I going from x to y after that? Right? You could just look at where 0 is, but another way to think about it, or that's one way to think about it, or think about, if I do 2 times 0, I get 0, then how do I get to 3? We add 3. So it's 2 times whatever x is, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 3 gets me 5. 2 times 5 gets me 10, plus 3 gets me 15. First, we find our m, then we find our b. Look at your blue foldable. Should be on page 79 in your notebook. So definitely look at that, see what works best for you. A is the correct answer, y equals 2x plus 3. Number 24, this is a straight angle. So this entire angle all the way is a straight angle. This entire angle is 180 degrees. Now we know these angles, right? This is a 90-degree angle. This is another special angle that's 180 degrees. So if that whole angle is 180, x minus 5 plus this 50-degree angle should get me to 180. So this is an equation where we have to combine like terms first. So I combine these two terms first. Negative 5 plus 50 is in positive 45. Subtract 45 from both sides. I get x is equal to 135 degrees. X is equal to 135 degrees. Alright. Number 25. The equation y equals 9x plus 200 represents the amount that Kevin was earning for the bakery at X number of hours, plus a holiday bonus. So what's his hourly rate? Already I can start to look at this equation. This is my holiday bonus, because it's a one-time I'm adding it. So 200 should already be out of your answer choices. If I know that X is the number of hours, I know that I'm multiplying that by 9. Well, if I'm multiplying it by a number every single time, it's safe to assume that I get Y, how much money he earns. I can get it by doing 9 times this amount. So I also know because it's my rate of change. Right? Again, back in that blue folder. So that 9 is going to be his hourly rate, because I'm multiplying it by the number of hours each time. Alright, number 26. Marla signs up for a membership to rent video games. The company charges a $5 flat fee. Okay, you should have that changed in your review. And $2.50 per video game. She paid a total of $35. How many video games did she rent? So there's a flat fee of $5, $2.50 for each game, $35 altogether. How many games are there? So I know that it's $2.50 per game. X is what's missing. Plus the $5 flat fee gets me the $35 for that month or whatever. So to solve it, subtract 5 from both sides. I get $2.50 times number of games equals 30. But now I got to divide both sides by 250 because I want to get X by itself. You can't see that. Zoom in a little bit so you can kind of see. Now remember, if I'm doing 30 divided by $2.50, I need to move my decimal as many times as I need to make this a whole number. You really need to move it one time. If you moved it 2 times, you got 250 and 3,000, you'll still get the right answer. But you really only need to move one time, because you put a decimal point here, 25.0, that's still a whole number. So I do the division, 300 divided by 25, that equals 12 games. Remember, you need to study, look online, look on Schoology, do the practice quizzes. All the things are in Schoology. Look over your review. If you have questions, make sure you come in the morning for tutorials. Okay, we'll do our quiz tomorrow. Good luck studying.